Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to share and subscribe the channel. Dr. Jasmine Powell stared in horror as the gangly, blue-skinned alien leaned forward and licked a droplet of blood from engineer Tomas Rodriguez's open wound. The alien, Dr. Nixthera from the Vexellian Confederation, made a series of clicking sounds with their four-part mandible while their compound eyes shifted from amber to a deep purple. "What in the seven systems are you doing?" Jasmine demanded, stepping between them. Rodriguez looked equally shocked, cradling his injured arm against his chest. Nixthera straightened to their full 7-foot height, antennae quivering. Analysis complete. Hemoglobin levels acceptable, white blood cell count elevated by 12%, trace amounts of synthetic caffeine, and... They tilted their head, antenna twitching, minor bacterial infection beginning. Treatment required within 6 hours. Jasmine blinked. "You determined all that from tasting his blood?" "Taste is imprecise terminology," Nixthera replied, their translator device giving their clicks and whistles a melodic quality. "My species possesses chemoreceptors in what you would call our oral cavity. They analyze molecular structures with greater precision than your most advanced medical equipment." Rodriguez looked between them. "So. Am I okay, Doc?" "I still need to run actual tests," Jasmine said firmly, reaching for her scanner. "This is a Federation medical bay, and we follow Federation protocols." Nixthera's skin rippled in what Jasmine had learned was their equivalent of a shrug. "As you wish, though the infection requires treatment with what you call antibiotics, specifically cephalosporin-derived compounds. The bacteria are gram-negative and show resistance markers to penicillin variants." The medbay door slid open as Captain Desmond Harris entered, his weathered face creased with concern. "I heard we had an incident during our first joint examination." Jasmine straightened. "Captain, Dr. Nixthera has some unconventional diagnostic methods that weren't mentioned in the cultural briefing." The captain raised an eyebrow. "Unconventional how?" "They licked my blood, sir," Rodriguez said. "Said they could diagnose me by taste." Harris's expression remained diplomatically neutral as he turned to the alien physician. "I understand your species joined the Confederation recently. Perhaps there are aspects of your medical practices we should discuss before continuing our exchange program." Nixthera's compound eyes shifted to a deep blue that Jasmine had come to recognize as confusion or concern. "Have I violated a taboo? Blood analysis is fundamental to Vexellian medicine. We are confused by your reluctance." "Humans consider bodily fluids private," Captain Harris explained. "Direct contact, especially oral contact with another's blood, carries cultural significance and health concerns for us." "Fascinating," Nixthera's antennae trembled with interest. "Your species carries many pathogens that can transfer between individuals through fluid exchange. My biology renders such concerns irrelevant, and my chemical analysis provides immediate benefit. But I understand the need for cultural adaptation." Jasmine ran her scanner over Rodriguez's arm, her eyebrows rising as the results appeared. "Bacterial infection confirmed. Exactly as described." She looked up at Nixthera with newfound respect. "Right down to the antibiotic recommendation." "I would be pleased to demonstrate more of our diagnostic methods," Nixthera offered. "Perhaps under controlled conditions that respect your cultural sensitivities." Captain Harris nodded slowly. "That might be valuable. Dr. Powell, please coordinate with Dr. Nixthera on establishing appropriate protocols for their unique abilities." After the captain and Rodriguez departed, Jasmine turned to the alien physician. "I apologize for my reaction. It was unprofessional." "No apology necessary," Nixthera's skin rippled with blue-green patterns. "Cultural exchange requires patience. My species has served as healers across 3 star systems precisely because of our analytical abilities. What you find disturbing, others consider our greatest gift." Jasmine gestured toward her office. "Perhaps you could explain more about Vexellian medicine. I'd like to understand." As they settled in her office, Nixtara carefully folded their four-jointed limbs into a sitting position. My species evolved as communal healers on a world with high radiation and environmental toxins. Our ancestors developed specialized chemoreceptors to identify which plants and water sources were safe. So it's an evolutionary adaptation, Jasmine mused. Yes. Over generations, those with the most sensitive receptors survived to reproduce. Eventually, we could detect minute chemical variations that indicated disease in our hive mates. Nixtara's eyes shifted to a warm gold. What began as survival became our calling. We can identify thousands of molecular compounds instantaneously. Jasmine leaned forward. And this requires direct contact with bodily fluids? For most precise analysis, yes. Though we can detect airborne markers of some conditions. What you call scent is merely crude chemical detection compared to our abilities. The conversation was interrupted by an emergency alert. Dr. Lien Park's voice came over the comm system, medical emergency in engineering. Plasma burn victim en route to med bay. Jasmine jumped to her feet. We need to prepare for trauma treatment. Nixtara rose smoothly. I have extensive experience with radiation and burn injuries. Will you permit my assistance? Jasmine hesitated only briefly. Yes, but we follow station protocols. No blood sampling without patient consent and proper explanation. Understood. Nixtara's skin took on a determined crimson hue. I sense your concern for your crewmate. This I understand well. Healing transcends our differences. As they hurried to prepare the trauma bay, Jasmine realized that despite their vastly different biologies and cultures, she and this strange alien shared the same fundamental drive, to heal and protect. Perhaps there was more common ground between them than she had initially thought. The doors to the med bay slid open as the emergency team rushed in with the injured engineer. The real test of their new partnership was about to begin. The emergency team rushed in with Chief Engineer Valerie Nguyen on a hover stretcher, her body convulsing as plasma burns seared across her left side. Medic Jules Okafor barked vital signs while applying pressure to stem the bleeding from where the plasma had eaten through her environment suit. Third-degree burns over 20% of body surface, possible nerve damage, blood pressure dropping. Okafor reported, his dark face glistening with sweat. Dar. Jasmine Powell moved with practiced efficiency. Prep the Reagan unit and start a synthetic blood transfusion. We need to stabilize her before. Wait, Nixtara interrupted, compound eyes flaring bright orange. I detect compound poisoning. Not just burns. Jasmine hesitated. Our scanners don't show. Your scanners cannot detect particle residue from experimental plasma containment systems, Nixtara insisted, antennae vibrating with urgency. The human body is reacting to zirconium-plutonium microparticles. Captain Harris, who had followed the emergency team, stepped forward. That's classified information. How do you know about our new containment system? I don't need prior knowledge to detect molecular structures, Nixtara explained. But treatment must begin immediately or cell degradation will become irreversible. Jasmine looked between the captain and the alien physician. What do you suggest? Nixtara's exoskeleton plates shifted as they produced a small vial of luminescent blue liquid from a compartment in their uniform. This chelating compound will bind to the particles before they penetrate organ tissue. An untested alien substance. Dr. Park protested, looking up from monitoring Nguyen's vitals. We can't authorize that. Nguyen's body suddenly arched as seizures began, her vital signs plummeting on the monitors. Alarms blared through the medbay. We're losing her, Okafor warned. Captain Harris made the decision. Do it. Nixtara moved with surprising grace for their bulky frame, administering the compound through Nguyen's foreline. Within seconds, the seizures subsided, and her vital signs began to stabilize. Now proceed with your burn treatments, Nixtara stated, stepping back. The compound requires 12 minutes to fully bind with the particulate matter. Jasmine and her team worked frantically to treat the burns while Dr. Park monitored the interaction between the alien compound and Nguyen's bloodstream. The med bay settled into tense silence broken only by the rhythmic beeping of medical equipment. "How did you know?" Jasmine asked quietly as they worked side by side. "About the particles?" Nixthora's mandibles clicked softly. "When I approached, airborne molecular traces were present around her wounds. My species can detect particulate matter at concentrations as low as 3 parts per billion. That's beyond our most sensitive equipment," Jasmine murmured. "Which is why the Confederation values our medical contributions," Nixthora replied. "Many species initially find our methods disturbing, yet welcome our results." As Nguyen's condition stabilized, Captain Harris pulled Nixthora aside. "That containment system is classified. I need your assurance this information remains confidential." "Captain, I have no interest in your technological secrets," Nixthora's skin rippled with bands of deep blue. "I am a physician. My only concern was saving your crew member." Harris studied the alien for a long moment before nodding. "I believe you. And I'm grateful. But I'm curious, if you needed to analyze her blood directly, would you have asked permission first?" As agreed, Nixthora finished. "Though in emergency situations, my people prioritize life preservation over cultural protocols. A universal medical principle," Harris acknowledged. Later, as they reviewed Nguyen's recovery data, Jasmine found herself increasingly fascinated by Nixthora's capabilities. "The chelating compound, it's not in any of our databases. It is derived from a fungal species native to my homeworld," Nixthora explained. "My ancestors discovered its binding properties 5,000 years ago. We have refined the formula over generations. Could you share the composition?" Dr. Park asked, her scientific curiosity overcoming her initial skepticism. "With pleasure," Nixthora agreed. "Though some components may be unfamiliar to your chemistry." As Nixthora began explaining the compound structure, Security Officer Wei appeared at the medbay entrance. "Doctors, we have a situation. 3 crew members from engineering are showing similar symptoms to Chief Nguyen. Less severe, but progressive. Secondary exposure to the particles," Nixthora concluded. Jasmine turned to the alien physician. "Do you have enough of the chelating agent?" "Insufficient quantities for multiple patients," Nixthora admitted. "But I can synthesize more using components from your medical stores, with some substitutions." "I'll assist," Dr. Park offered. "Just tell me what you need." As they gathered supplies, Jasmine noticed Nixthora's skin had taken on a mottled pattern she hadn't seen before. "Are you all right?" "I am experiencing discomfort," Nixthora admitted. "Some of the particles adhered to my exoskeleton during treatment. My system is processing them, but the process is taxing." "You've been poisoned too?" Jasmine asked with alarm. "My biology neutralizes toxins differently than yours," Nixthora explained. "But I would benefit from accessing nutritional supplements to boost my detoxification process." Dr. Park looked up from the synthesizer. "You're treating patients while poisoned yourself?" Of course, Nixthora's antennae dipped in what seemed like confusion. "Is this not what healers do? Place others before themselves?" The human doctors exchanged glances. Despite their differences, some aspects of medical dedication transcended species. "Let me help you while Dr. Park continues the synthesis," Jasmine offered. "What supplements do you need?" As they worked together to address Nixthora's condition, Jasmine realized they were witnessing something remarkable, not just a cultural exchange, but the emergence of a new medical paradigm that combined the best of both worlds. Outside the medbay window, the swirling nebula cast ever-changing patterns of light across their faces, human and alien, united in their commitment to healing despite the vast differences beneath their skin. Dar. Jasmine Powell stood at the observation window, watching as Nixthora conducted examination rounds with remarkable efficiency. In the 2 weeks since Chief Nguyen's accident, the alien physician had integrated into the medical team with unexpected ease, though not without ongoing cultural adjustments. "They're doing it again," Dr. Park whispered, nodding toward the alien who was holding a small vial of blood collected from Lieutenant Omelade. Jasmine watched as Nixtara discreetly touched the sample to specialized sensory organs near their mandibles. "At least they're using the collection protocols we established." "True," Park conceded. "But I still find it unsettling." "Their diagnostic accuracy is incredible," Jasmine replied. 98% correlation with our advanced tests, but delivered in seconds rather than hours." After completing rounds, Nixtara approached the human doctors. "Lieutenant Omelade's platelets show minor clumping tendencies. I recommend prophylactic treatment before your deep space mission next week." "I'll update her treatment plan," Jasmine nodded. "The captain wants to see us in conference room 3. Something about a diplomatic situation." When they arrived, Captain Harris was speaking with Communications Officer Dahlia Yaboa. Both looked concerned. "Doctors," Harris nodded. "We have a situation with the Vexelian delegation. They're requesting a meeting with Dr. Nixtara, but there's been a miscommunication." "Regarding what?" Nixtara's antennae twitched. Yaboa consulted her tablet. "They specifically requested what translates as a molecular memory sharing ceremony with you. They mentioned something about blood whispers that our translator couldn't properly contextualize." Nixtara's compound eyes shifted to a deep violet. "Ah. This is unexpected. Care to explain?" Harris asked. "My species does not just analyze blood for diagnostic purposes," Nixtara began. "We also retain what you might call molecular memories from blood samples. These memories are considered sacred knowledge, particularly when shared between healers." Jasmine leaned forward. "You mean you actually remember what you've tasted?" "More than remember," Nixtara explained. "Our neural pathways store chemical signatures as experiential memory. Every blood sample I've analyzed from your crew contains emotional states, biochemical histories, genetic memories, all accessible to me through my chemoreceptors." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. "You're saying you can read our emotions and memories from our blood?" Harris asked, voice tight with concern. "Not thoughts or specific memories as you understand them," Nixtara clarified. "Rather, emotional states, health histories, genetic predispositions. For example, when I analyzed Engineer Rodriguez's blood, I detected recurring stress patterns consistent with childhood trauma. When I sampled Chief Nguyen's blood during treatment, I sensed deep familial connections, genetic markers suggesting she recently carried a child." Jasmine's eyes widened. "She has a 2-year-old daughter on Earth." "This information, it's deeply personal," Harris said. "Our crew never consented to this level of intrusion." Nixtara's exoskeleton plates shifted in what Jasmine now recognized as discomfort. "I understand your concern. Among my people, such knowledge is considered a sacred trust. Healers are bound by strict ethical codes regarding blood memories. That doesn't change the fact that you've been collecting private information without consent," Yaboa pointed out. "I have only used this knowledge to improve medical outcomes," Nixtara countered. "When I detected Lieutenant Omelade's platelet anomaly, it was connected to emotional distress patterns similar to what your people call grief. Her medical history mentioned nothing of a recent loss." Jasmine recalled Omelade's improved condition after Nixtara had recommended not just physical treatment but also suggested the lieutenant might benefit from speaking with the station's counselor. The suggestion had seemed oddly specific at the time. "The lieutenant's partner died last year," she confirmed quietly. "She doesn't discuss it." Harris paced the room. "This changes the parameters of our exchange program. The Federation Council will need to be informed." "What about the Vexelian delegation's request?" Yaboa asked. "They wish to perform a memory-sharing ceremony," Nixtara explained. "It is customary among our healers when serving in foreign territories." We share the molecular memories we have gathered as a way to preserve medical knowledge. And this involves. Harris prompted. A small sample of my blood, which contains the chemical signatures of all I have learned here, Nixtera explained. Other healers would analyze it, gaining the collective knowledge I have accumulated. Like uploading medical files to a database, Jasmine suggested. Similar, though more intimate, Nixtera's skin rippled with patterns of deep blue and green. We consider it a form of communion. The delegation would not come aboard the station without my agreement to participate. Captain Harris sighed. This is beyond my authority. I need to consult with Federation Command. After the meeting, Jasmine found Nixtera in the medbay's research lab, their normally vibrant exoskeleton dulled to a matte gray. I've caused disruption, the alien physician stated without looking up from their work. You've challenged our understanding, Jasmine corrected, sitting across from them. Help me understand. These molecular memories, how exactly do they work? Nixtera's antennae twitched. When I analyze blood, my neural pathways form new connections based on the chemical signatures present. These connections become part of my knowledge base. I can access impressions of emotional states, health histories, genetic predispositions. Like having access to a complete medical history just by tasting someone's blood, Jasmine mused. More than that, Nixtera's eyes shifted to a warm amber. It connects me to my patients in ways your technology cannot replicate. When I treated Chief Nguyen, I sensed her child's genetic markers. This connection allowed me to adjust the chelating agent precisely to protect her reproductive system from radiation damage. You were protecting her ability to have more children, Jasmine realized. Yes. The molecular memory of her offspring guided my treatment protocol, Nixtera explained. Without this knowledge, standard treatments might have compromised her fertility. Jasmine considered this. So these abilities, they're not just diagnostic. They're empathic. Perhaps that is the closest human concept, Nixtera agreed. We experience a form of connection that transcends intellectual understanding. It is why we are valued as healers throughout the Confederation. And the ceremony with the delegation? A way to preserve and share medical knowledge, Nixtera explained. The molecular memories I've gathered here contain valuable information about human physiology and treatment responses. This knowledge benefits future healers who might treat humans. Jasmine thought for a moment. What if we developed a modified protocol? One that allows you to use your abilities while respecting our privacy concerns? That would be welcome. Nixtera's color began returning to its normal vibrancy. My people have no desire to violate your cultural boundaries. We seek only to heal effectively. Later that evening, as Jasmine presented her proposal to Captain Harris and the senior staff, she realized that true understanding between species required more than translation devices. It required the willingness to look beyond initial discomfort to find the deeper connections that united them all. Blood whispers, she concluded her presentation. That's what Nixtera's people call these molecular memories. Perhaps instead of fearing them, we should learn what they have to teach us about healing. The Federation Ethics Committee has reached a decision, Captain Harris announced, looking around the conference room at the assembled medical staff and diplomatic representatives. They've approved a modified version of the molecular memory protocol. 6 weeks had passed since the revelation about Nixtera's abilities. Dr. Jasmine Powell had spent every available moment working with the alien physician to develop a framework that would respect human privacy while allowing the Vexellian to utilize their unique diagnostic capabilities. The protocol requires explicit consent forms detailing exactly what molecular memories entail, Harris continued, and patients must opt in specifically for diagnostic purposes, treatment optimization, or the broader memory sharing with other Vexellian healers. Nixtera's exoskeleton had taken on a vibrant turquoise hue that Jasmine had come to associate with satisfaction. This represents a significant advancement in cross-species medical cooperation. My people are grateful. Ambassador Prisha Nair from the Federation Diplomatic Corps nodded. This establishes an important precedent. The Vexellian delegation has agreed to reciprocal knowledge sharing. They'll provide detailed information about how their chemoreceptors work and help develop technology that might replicate some aspects of their abilities. Speaking of which, Dr. Park interjected, our research team has been developing a prototype based on Nixthra's chemical analysis patterns. She activated a holographic display showing a handheld device with delicate sensor arrays. We're calling it the molecular memory scanner. It can't replicate the full spectrum of what Nixthra perceives, but initial tests show it can detect up to 65% of the biomarkers they identify. Remarkable progress, Ambassador Zif Thalos of the Vexellian Confederation commented, their own blue-gray exoskeleton patterns shifting in appreciation. This collaboration proves that cultural differences need not impede scientific advancement. After the meeting, Jasmine found Nixthra in the observation lounge, their compound eyes reflecting the swirling nebula outside. The Blood Whispers ceremony is scheduled for tomorrow, Jasmine said, joining them at the viewport. How are you feeling about it? Contemplative, Nixthra replied. This will be the first time a Vexellian healer has shared molecular memories of humans with our collective. It is an honor I did not anticipate when I volunteered for this exchange. I still can't fully grasp what these memories mean to your people, Jasmine admitted. Nixthra's antennae twitched thoughtfully. Perhaps a demonstration would help. With your permission, of course. Jasmine hesitated briefly. What kind of demonstration? A small sample of your blood, analyzed in your presence, with a verbal translation of what I perceive. Not for treatment purposes, but for understanding. Curiosity overcame hesitation. All right. Nixthra retrieved a sterile collection kit they now carried for authorized analyses. With practiced precision, they took a small blood sample from Jasmine's finger and touched it to their specialized sensory organs. Their compound eyes cycled through colors, amber, deep purple, brilliant blue, before settling on a warm gold. I sense resilience, Nixthra began, voice taking on a melodic quality their translator rarely conveyed. Molecular patterns consistent with adaptive stress responses, your body has overcome significant challenges. There is genetic memory of ancestors who survived hardship, perhaps famine or disease generations ago. Jasmine nodded. My great-grandparents survived the Bengal Basin floods. There is also. Nixthra's antennae quivered, sorrow. Recent grief has altered your cortisol regulation. Someone close to you has departed. Jasmine felt her throat tighten. My father. 8 months ago. The molecular pattern is distinctive. Yet alongside it, I detect biochemical markers of healing, new neural pathways forming. You are finding equilibrium again. Nixthra's eyes shifted to a warm amber. And there is something else, distinct molecular signatures indicating repeated exposure to radiation therapy. Not as a patient, but as a physician. I specialized in oncology before joining the station, Jasmine confirmed, increasingly amazed. I worked with radiation treatments for years. The molecules tell your story, Nixthra explained. This is what my people mean by blood whispers. Not invasion of privacy, but understanding the journey that brought you here. The next day, the ceremony took place in the station's botanical garden. The Vexellian delegation formed a semicircle around Nixthra, who stood before a small crystalline bowl. Captain Harris, Dr. Powell, and Ambassador Nayer observed from a respectful distance. In a ritual that seemed both alien and strangely familiar, Nixthra pierced their exoskeleton at a specialized joint, allowing a drop of iridescent blue-green fluid to fall into the bowl. The other Vexellians approached one by one, touching specialized sensory organs to the fluid and standing motionless as information transferred between them. They're sharing everything Nixthra has learned about human physiology, Ambassador Nayer whispered. Knowledge that would take years to document in our medical databases. When the ceremony concluded, the Vexellian ambassador approached the Federation observers. We have received the molecular memories. They are profound. Your species' resilience and adaptability are remarkable. This knowledge will benefit countless future interactions. I hope so, Captain Harris replied. This exchange program has proven more valuable than we anticipated. 2 days later, as the Vexellian delegation prepared to depart, an emergency alert sounded throughout the station. A shuttle returning from the nearby research outpost had suffered catastrophic system failure. 3 crew members were being transported to medbay with severe radiation exposure and trauma injuries. The medical team worked frantically as the patients arrived. Among them was Dr. Lien Park, who had been conducting research at the outpost. Her condition was critical, radiation poisoning complicated by trauma to her central nervous system. Conventional treatments will be insufficient, Nixthara stated after examining her. But I believe we can synthesize a treatment based on both our medical traditions. Jasmine nodded. What do you need? The molecular memory scanner. It can identify the specific radiation signature affected her neural pathways. And I need permission to analyze her blood directly. With authorization granted, Nixthara and Jasmine worked side by side, human technology and alien senses complementing each other. The scanner identified radiation patterns while Nixthara's analysis revealed how Dr. Park's unique biochemistry was responding. Her cellular structure is attempting to adapt, Nixthara explained. If we can support this natural process while neutralizing the radiation, she might recover. They developed a treatment protocol that combined Vexellian chelating compounds with targeted human regenerative therapies. As they administered the treatment, Jasmine realized they were witnessing the birth of a new medical paradigm, one that transcended the limitations of either species alone. Hours later, Dr. Park stabilized. Her road to recovery would be long, but the prognosis was now hopeful. As Nixthara prepared to join their delegation for departure, Jasmine found them in the medbay, recording final observations. The Federation Medical Council has approved my recommendation, she told them. A permanent exchange program between our medical traditions. They're calling it the Molecular Synthesis Initiative. An appropriate name, Nixthara's skin rippled with patterns of bright gold and green. Our differences, when properly understood, become our greatest strength. Will you return? Jasmine asked. Perhaps. Or perhaps another healer will come while I share what I've learned with our medical communes. Nixthara's antennae dipped in what Jasmine now recognized as their version of a smile. Either way, the blood whispers will continue. Your stories, your molecular memories, will inform our healing practices for generations. As the Vexellian ship departed, Jasmine stood at the observation deck, watching the sleek vessel disappear into the nebula. What had begun as cultural misunderstanding had transformed into something profound, a reminder that sometimes, the most alien concepts contained the deepest wisdom. In her pocket, she carried a small vial of the synthetic compound they had developed together, a physical manifestation of what could be achieved when different worlds found common ground. Not just a medical breakthrough, but a testament to connection that transcended biology, culture, and the vast emptiness of space that separated their worlds. The station's intercom chimed. Dr. Powell to medbay. Patient ready for molecular analysis. Jasmine smiled. The healing synthesis continued.